What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL video. My name is Mo, and today I'll be going through my current FPL draft, which is basically my 1.7 millionth draft that I've done over the last week. I'm only messing. It feels like it though, to be fair. So there's some new players that are coming to my squad. I personally like this far more than any of my other drafts that I've made. I think there's a good balance to this squad, and we'll go through what my rationale behind my decision making was. But if you're new around here, guys, hit that subscribe button. Give us a like too if you like the content. And if you want to join the FPL INKLING League, the code you'll find is below my camera screen. So let's get stuck in, guys, and let's go with my goalkeeper. So in comes Onana, so who's released earlier today from FPL, and he's coming at 5 million. So there's no surprise in terms of his price. He easily could have been priced 5.5 mil alongside Pope. And I think we've got Edison and only Alisson are the three keepers that are priced at that point. But 5 mil is a fair pricing point for a Manchester United keeper, replacing De Gea at number 1. Most clean sheets by Manchester United last season. I think, you know, in terms of save points, they are pretty much going to be assured that you'll get some save points with Onana. He's good with his legs. And Man United defensively were pretty sound last season as well. So we can look at some of the fixtures for Manchester United. So the first 2 out of the 3 game weeks, Wolves at home and Nottingham Forest at home, are really key fixtures to target. Game weeks 2 and 4 have away fixtures to Spurs and Arsenal respectively. But that shouldn't defer us of having a keeper of his calibre and the defence in front of him. So he could get some clean sheet points, could get some save points as well. Brighton at home, Burnley away, Palace at home, Brentford at home, and a Sheffield United away before the City game in game week 10. So the first 9 game weeks, you know, 2 fixtures that kind of like stand out in terms of difficulty. But barring that, I think it's a good choice to have. Already 5% of managers have brought him into their teams today after being released, but I think that should go up as we get closer to the game week 1 deadline. So it was kind of like a balance between me getting Shaw into my squad or having Onana, but I think at $0.5 million a bit more cheaper and pretty much nailed to play every game and less injured, of course. And I thought I put Andre Onana in my squad. There's always that new goalkeeper in the Premier League, kind of like, you know, would he fit in, would he won't? But I think from what I've seen previously from him, at Inter Milan, I think generally he's going to be a safe pick to have. Now at the back line, so there's been no change to Estupinan, so he's still in my squad. Brighton have some really good fixtures to begin with, which is the 3 games against Luton, Wolves and West Ham. Then they hit a bit of a solid patch in terms of Newcastle at home. I don't think that'll be as hard as it's rated as number 4. I would have given it a 3 personally, and Manchester United away will be a tough game. But then Bournemouth, Villa, and then they go into a tough spell in game week 8, 9 with Liverpool and Man City. So potentially what I could do with it is Estupinan, I've kind of had a bit of a plan as well, is keep him up to game week 3. And by then we'll get a bit more understanding around how Chelsea are doing. Now I could so easily get in Reece James, Chilwell, but I'll have to downgrade or find $0.5 million from elsewhere of my squad. However, a player that I am kind of like targeting or reviewing at the moment is Thiago Silva at 5 million, centre back, nailed on to play for Chelsea. And I think under Pochettino, I really want to see how he sets up the defensive line, with Fofana being injured as well. At 5 mil, you know, he does get quite a few bonus points as well. And with Chelsea's fixtures, it is someone that I might target between game week 4 to game week 8. And Estupinan could be a player that I kind of go off for a bit. Because he's such high ownership at the moment, guys. There is going to be a lot of people that are going to knee-jerk in the first couple of weeks. Wild cards being played. He might be one of the players that gets sacrificed if in the first 2 game weeks, let's say, he doesn't get any returns and Brighton don't keep a clean sheet. But that's the thing in the first couple of weeks of the season, guys. Clean sheets are not something that we should be targeting. But based on the fixtures that they do have and the kind of like returns we're expecting from attacking perspective for Estupinan, there's a bit of a fine line there. So I think a lot of people, a bit like Botman, will kind of look at these 2 players initially to, you know, free up some funds, and that could actually lead to a price fall for him. So it's very close to keep an eye on, you know, ownership as well for him. But that is something that I might be targeting in terms of my defensive line. So Estupinan could go out for Thiago Silva and then come back in later when the fixtures take a good swing back in game week 10. But we'll take a look into that later. But for now, he stays in my squad. Continuing with a double up in defence for Arsenal. So since day 1 of my drafts being done, I've gone against the kind of like template where everyone's going for 3, I would say maybe 2 midfielders or forwards of Arsenal and Ramsdale in goal, and with probably Gabriel only in defence, one of the lines. So some people might have just gone, you know, they could double up on the forward line, so Martinelli, Saka, or maybe Jesus and Saka and then Gabriel in defence. Everyone's played their own kind of combination, but for me, I safely wanted to play the Arsenal centre-backs as my centre-backs pairing. So Saliba is going to be in there. He signed a new contract. He was phenomenal, to be fair, last season. He was racking up bonus points. Good start to the season as well in terms of fixtures, all the way up to game week 7, where they, after that, they got Manchester United in game week 4 and Man City and Chelsea in game week 8 and 9. So respectively, the first 9 game weeks, 6 games, I expect some kind of return from him and Gabriel. And from an offensive point of view as well, from corners, they always will be present in the Arsenal box. But he got injured last season. He's coming back from injury pre-season. He's had a few minutes under Arteta. Yes, I know they've signed some new players as well, but I generally believe that Saliba and Gabriel are pretty nailed in terms of the back line for Arsenal. And with Arteta, one thing I do really admire about him is he keeps the same squad usually, unless there's an injury or there's kind of some doubt in terms of fitness. But usually we can expect these guys to start week in, week out. So as you can see with Gabriel, we'll go through his results from last season. 146 points at 5 mil, easily could have been 5.5 mil. 3 goals last season. 15 bonus points, and I think, with the fixtures run again with Arsenal, why not double up on them? I can't really see any more value in other defenders because I'm not going for Trent, so I've kind of gone for a bit more of a solidity aspect from the Arsenal back line. So that was my rationale behind it completely. I may live to regret it. I might even change it after a while, after a couple of weeks, but I'm pretty confident that I should get some good returns from both these players from Arsenal. And then last but not least, my last defender is Nathan Ake. So coming out at 5 mil, there's other City defenders who are coming out at 5 mil as well. So Akanji, for example, we got Walker potentially leaving. Diaz comes in at 5.5 and so does Stone. So again, it's who you want to pick from that line. I think he's probably the most nailed in terms of the centre-back lines. He's probably left back as well, but he can also play the left side of the 3 centre-backs that City do play. Minutes last season, 1,871. So rotation risk at the end of the season, I guess, when they got more games. But we saw that when Man City played their first 11, he tended to usually be in there for Man City. He only got 1 goal last season, which is quite surprising. But I think there should be some more kind of contributions in terms of goals and assists this season. I could see him getting a few more. And clean sheets, Man City were, quite unlucky last season in terms of Edison conceding quite frequently the odd goal here and there. But I think there should be some additional clean sheets rather than, the 13 or 14 they got, I think, overall. I think they should get a couple of more, and that should rack up some more points and give him a better season than he had last season, which was actually one of his best seasons under Man City. But fixtures-wise, Man City, everyone wants to target them, guys. With the front line or defensively, people are going for even Edison in goal, which I personally might not think is the best choice personally, because in terms of clean sheets, he might get the 4 points there, but bonus points and stuff, save points might be a bit low comparative to other goalkeepers. But he's not a bad pick, guys. He's nailed to playing every week, and if you've got the extra £0.5 mil, then of course get Edison into your goal. Burnley away. Seems like an okay fixture, going against their old skipper company. It's going to be a tough game, by the way, but I think he should start that game. Newcastle at home is going to be difficult. Sheffield, Fulham, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Wolves. And until game week 8 and 9, I think he's pretty nailed on to he'll be playing week in, week out. So that's my back line, guys. Onana, 4 defenders, which is Estupiñán, Saliba, Gabriel, and Ake. Now moving on to my midfield. So Eze, again, remains in every single draft that I've selected so far. So again, pre-season, he's had a good start. I think he played a game the other day and they scored 4 goals, and all 4 of them he had a contribution. I think 3 assists and a goal. So from Crystal Palace, if you work out from last season, he had about 32% of goal contributions for the entire goals that Palace scored last season. And he's a bonus point machine. 21 bonus points last season, 30 starts, and with Zaha potentially leaving, he's pretty much going to be guaranteed on penalties as well. So for me, I know there's other options like Matoma, there's Mbembo, but for me, I've liked Eze this season at the 6.5 million mark. And in terms of fixtures, they're not too bad for Crystal Palace. Arsenal at home, it's rated 4, but they're at home. That's a tough game though. But Sheffield United, Brentford, Wolves, Villa and Fulham in the first 6 game weeks. And even then, after that, they've got Man United, Newcastle and Spurs, but still some good games in between and after as well. So for me, Eze stays. And I think if Palace are going to have a good season, they're going to get some goals, it's pretty much going to be through him. And then my vice-captain and my only player from Liverpool, I had Alisson in for a bit. I tried McAllister, but McAllister is just... I'm just not buying into it. I don't think he'll get the minutes, I think. But again, minutes might be a concern. Henderson going might get him some more minutes. But I just don't see the returns for 6 mil, the points-wise, in terms of goals and assists that he may get. Don't get me wrong, Liverpool score a lot of goals, but they've got Mo Salah, Gakpo, Jota, other sources that potentially they can get goals from, Darwin Núñez. But Mo Salah is something that I've gone for. 239 points last season. I wish it was 290. 37 starts, 32 returns. Now, we thought it was one of his, probably not his best seasons last season, but he kind of picked up at the end again. He gets a return every other game, or every game pretty much. So that's not too bad. And I know 12.5 mil is a lot of money, but you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to come from a side that scores a lot of goals. He's on penalties from what I understand. And I think maybe he was tired last season. But I think he's had a good breakaway. He looks great in training pre-season. I saw their game, which was their pre-season game a few days ago. It looked pretty sharp. But I want to go in this season with Mo Salah. And fixtures-wise, yes, they've got Chelsea first game away, but he's got a phenomenal record against them anyway for scoring. Then they've got Bournemouth at home, Newcastle. Even the Newcastle away game does not frighten me at all, because last season you can imagine, I think they won 3-0, I think it was, and Pope got sent off, and he got a few points there as well. So I'm not too put off by the Newcastle game, in my honest opinion. Villa, Wolves, West Ham, Spurs. He scores against Spurs previously, Brighton, Everton. So in the first 9 game weeks, I can see some really solid returns. And I think he had some really weird stat a couple of years ago where he hit 100 points in the first 11 games or something like that. So, he can start big. And if you look at his post kind of season's first games, he's averaged around, I think, something like 11 points a game in the last 4 or 5 seasons. So fingers crossed he goes big. Then there could be a knee-jerk reaction by a lot of managers to wanting to get him in, but I'm going to go for him initially. And to be fair, as it stands, unless Haaland gets a hat-trick, I'm pretty nailed in captaining Salah for game week 2. I know Man City have Newcastle at home, but there's another thing underlying which is kind of convincing me to go for Mo Salah, is during that first to second game week period, in the midweek, there's I think, Super Cup final. So will Haaland play that? Will he be tired? Will he get, I doubt he'll get benched, but will he get the whole 90? So that's another question. I think Salah got a better fixture. He's at home. They won 9-0 last season. I know he didn't have any goal contributions, but I can assure you, if they score 3 goals this year, I'm pretty certain he'll have some form of kind of contribution to it. And I'm confident enough for that as well. So for me, 25% of managers have him now. I expect that to go further lower by game week 1. But then I believe that, there will be a knee-jerk in game week 2 if he goes well in the first game against Chelsea. But otherwise, Mo Salah stays in my team, and I think he's going to have a great season this season. The next midfielder is Bukayo Saka. So my only attacker from Arsenal that I have in my team out of the 3 players that I have from Arsenal. We've already talked about their fixtures, so we're not going to go through how good they are again, but they are amazing. 202 points, first time hit 200 points. This guy is underpriced, by the way. He so easily could have been 9.5 to 10 mil. Bruno Fernandes has had similar performances in previous years, and the next season he was priced around 10.5, maybe even 12 at one point. So for me, he's underpriced, 26 returns, great fixtures, and he's on penalties as well. So why wouldn't I want to have him in my squad? But yeah, he's a really good price point as well, and I think he's pretty much going to be a set and forget for me in my squad. My last midfielder in my playing 11 is from Manchester United, which is Marcus Rashford. So for most of my drafts, I have had Bruno Fernandes in, but with this one, I've managed to get the extra £500,000 where I could kind of, I'm not going to say upgrade, but pay the extra £500,000 for Marcus Rashford. A fantastic season last season. He was 6.5 mil, got 205 points, guys. Unless he's injured, he's pretty much going to start every game. 32 starts last season, 34 returns for 17 goals. Pretty much a bonus point machine as well. And we've already talked about Manchester United's fixtures. Again, it doesn't matter which fixture he plays, he's up front. If United don't sign another striker, which I think they might do, he's going to play out the left, and he'll probably cut in and be at his most dangerous there. So that is my 4 in the middle, guys. Now going up front, Haaland, what can I say about him, to be fair, guys? I've said the same thing again and again. He's a points machine. 14 mil is a fair price. He could have been 15 mil, to be honest. He's gone up in ownership. 85.9 now. He was 85.8 in my last video. 272 points, 33 starts, and 45 insane returns. Can he do better? Of course he can. He's my game week 1 captain against Burnley away. And then game week 2, I'm going to probably rotate him as well. The key thing about him is let's not just get fixated on captaining him every single week. Of course, he's got a great fixture on. So maybe in the first 7 weeks, we've got a chance to do maybe 6 out of the 7. But game week 2, there's a chance that Mo Salah might do better. But the thing is with that, last season, the winner of FPL in the world, he only captained Haaland 19 times out of the 13 38 game weeks, so only 50% of the time he was captain. So there are better choices, guys. I think game week 34, Haaland got 2 points or 3 points, and I think it was 2 points. And Wilson, he got 34 or something ridiculous like that after being doubled. So there are opportunities to look elsewhere, but again, insane fixtures, and he has to be in your squad. Now I've gone for Nkunku in my lineup. So Christopher Nkunku has moved over from Leipzig to Chelsea. Yes, the first fixture and maybe the second fixture puts a lot of people off. I do think the second fixture puts me off, to be fair. West Ham away, I'm not too concerned, to be fair, in terms of Chelsea's forward line. Defensively, West Ham aren't that solid, if you understand my opinion. But look at those fixtures after game week 3. Luton, Forest, Bournemouth, Villa, Fulham, Burnley. Great fixtures to have. And even then, after like Man City in game week 12, they do get to, I'll say they're quite difficult to game week 14. And that's probably where you can move away from him and, you know, find an extra $500,000 and get maybe Ollie Watkins into your squad. I think maybe by then as well, there might be a fixture swing for, I think it's Newcastle. So maybe Estupiñán could be like kind of, by that time, I think the price point is at 4.5 at the moment. A lot of people will sell him. He'll go down to 4.4. But I think, you know, maybe around, as they're seeing there, maybe game week, you know, we could sell him for potentially having Botman in your squad, and then Estupiñán's gone, and then you can upgrade Nkunku in my squad to Ollie Watkins. So that is my kind of like understanding, because then let's look at the difficult fixture run. So what game week was it that I was looking at for Nkunku where it changes? Let's have a look. It was game week 9. So game week 9. So next game week. Let's go to game week 9. Perfect. So let's go to Aston Villa. They've got such a good fixture on from there. So West Ham, Luton, Nottingham Forest, Fulham, Bournemouth in game week 14. So I potentially could move to Ollie Watkins. So I could bring Estupiñán down $500,000, or even Ake, to be fair, if I see there's more rotation, down to a Botman at 4.5. Or if I see McAllister doing well, Eze could be downgraded to McAllister, and then $500,000 could be made there. There's a lot going on. Maybe a 6.5 mid kind of striker emerges. We just don't know. But Nkunku, I think in this draft I brought him in, and I think I like the balance of this squad. What this gives me, I've always in my drafts, I've had a 3-5-2, 4-5-1, but I haven't had a 4-4-2 so far. This is my first 4-4-2, and I really like the look of it. There's a good balance. In terms of the bench, Areola, Bell, and I think you pronounce it as Nakamba, Marvelous Nakamba, and Semedo, I think it is. So you don't really need that much on your bench, to be fair. And I know Luton blank in game week 2, not really fussed. I think game week 8 or 9 they'll probably have a double. I could so easily just play a bench boost then, maybe, if that's what I'm looking at. You know, if Ariola's playing as well, he's got a good fixture. Who knows? But overall, that's the kind of like, you know, kind of squad depth. And the reason why it's the price points that come in. I can move around. I have the flexibility. Let's say Jesus kicks off really well. I can get rid of one of the Arsenal defenders, get the $500,000 extra, and upgrade to bring in Jesus in my squad. But that's all to be done and said, guys. But this is what my draft looks like. Let me know what your thoughts are. Is there more balance to it? I personally like the 4-4-2 formation. I haven't really, you know, gone against it previous years, but I think this year I really want to kind of favour it as well. And I think it's the most balanced as well. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, hit that like button. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, guys, now's the time. Hit that subscribe button. You'll get more regular content from me around FPL this season. And thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with some more content. Till then, take care.